Let's take a deeper look into using body language effectively. We will start with the face, focusing on facial expressions and eye contact. The face is one of the first things that you notice about a person and helps to form a first impression of them. It is essential to be aware of your facial expressions when communicating with others. Also, do read the facial expressions of the people you're communicating with to pick up on subtle signs and signals. Did you know that the face consists of 43 muscles? The movement of these muscles creates different facial expressions. Facial expressions are very powerful. We are often able to express several different emotions without saying a single word. Unlike some forms of nonverbal communication, facial expressions are almost universal. The facial expressions for happiness, sadness, curiosity, anger, surprise, and fear are the same across cultures. Facial expressions can provide immediate insight into another person's feelings and mood, and also go a step further by helping us to communicate. Facial expressions can be so powerful that messages can be conveyed without words. Just think about that glare your sister gives you when you enter a party wearing her favorite dress. It's no wonder that facial expressions are used so much in sign language. Facial expressions enhance communication. Think about the difference a warm smile makes when you've had a bad day. When the same message is accompanied by a friendly expression as opposed to an angry expression, the impact is very different. Although technology has greatly enhanced communication, replacing live communication with phone calls, text messages, and emails affects the nonverbal aspects. Seeing a person's face allows us to read their emotions more accurately, which you cannot always gauge from a voice or written message. When speaking on the phone, while the tone of voice provides some sense of a person's emotions, you only get the full picture in person. This means that messages can be misinterpreted, meaning can be lost, and emotional responses are harder to convey. This is why emoticons are so popular on social media. Most of us don't give a second thought to the facial expressions that come naturally to us. Many of them are incorporated subconsciously or are instinctive responses. For example, when you touch something hot, your face will communicate shock and fear. You don't have time to think about facial expressions in this situation. However, in a professional setting, it is important to be aware of the signals you may be sending. In our interactions with others, communication should be purposeful. Sending unintentional signals can cause problems, so it's important to be aware of our expressions and align them with our intended message. So how can we use facial expressions at the workplace? Be aware of your expressions and the messages they are conveying. Also, be alert enough to take cues from other people's facial expressions. Facial expressions can be persuasive. Imagine that you're in the midst of an important sales pitch and can see the clients are interested. By ensuring that your facial expressions and body language convey positivity and confidence, you have a higher chance of closing the deal. If your facial expressions are blank and dull, no matter how interesting the content of the message is, its delivery will be negatively impacted. Facial expressions should also be appropriate in the context of a situation. Imagine that your colleague has worked extremely hard for months on a pitch. He has just received news that the pitch was unsuccessful. On the other hand, you have received fantastic news at the same time. Is it appropriate to meet them smiling from ear to ear? Or would it be better to show your support through concerned expressions accompanied with encouraging words? Now, to convey a message accurately, align your facial expressions with your verbal communication. If your expressions complement your message, there will be less chance of miscommunication. Since expressions are largely automated, it is unlikely that you will frown while giving good news. However, what we can be conscious of is not sending conflicting messages. For example, if you've stayed up working late on an important project, Make sure that you're not yawning during a team meeting, as this may be interpreted as a sign of boredom. Think of a parent scolding a child with a smile on their face. Will the child take them seriously? Now, it's important to realize that at the workplace, it is not always advantageous to communicate your emotions through facial expressions. In some cases, it's important to keep your emotions in check so that you do not come across as unprofessional. For example, if you receive negative feedback from your boss or have to deal with an annoying client, it would not be appropriate to show your anger or irritation. You may feel like rolling your eyes at someone during a meeting, but how will that come across? It is not so much a case of masking emotion as it is of maintaining a neutral facial expression to respond appropriately in the given context.